Welcome to VSF Live, Vintage Science Fiction Live. This is a really special episode for me because I'm joined again by Dr. Autun Purser. I talked with him a little over a year ago from Antarctica, and now Dr. Purser. Autun, where are you right now? You want to let us know?
Hi guys, hi. Right now I'm in the Arctic. I can't really see too much with the light here, but later on in the show maybe we'll see if we can see some ice out the other way. But I'm in the Arctic right now, and so I am between Greenland and Svalbard, which is the northern archipelago north of Norway. And I'm on the research icebreaker, and what we are doing here is we are seeing how the ocean conditions are changing between Europe and the Americas in this area, where on the by the Greenland side, the water is coming out of Antarctica, and on the other side, it's going into the Arctic, and the Arctic. And I am running this ship, and we are looking at ocean chemistry, the biology in the ocean, and many other things to see how they're changing over the time. And it's the 25th year we've been here at this time of the year doing these measurements. So we want to see if the Gulf Stream is slowing down. We want to see how changes in the ice concentrations are affecting the ocean conditions here. So it's a really nice cruise. It's 1 month long, and we have 50 scientists and 50 technicians on my ship. And at least 5 of us are science fiction fans. Most of us are Germans, and they have a big lot of Eastern Germans on board, and they have got a lot of interest in Stanislav Lem and Strugatsky's books that I like. So a lot of the crew come from Rostock, which was old East Germany. So they really have a lot of knowledge of that sort of science fiction, which is very interesting. And so we're all here together. We're here together for a month, and we're doing this research. And I'm talking to you. This is my second science fiction chat of the cruise. I did one with the German Science Fiction Club and a meeting they had they're associated with in Berlin a couple of weeks ago. And now I'm talking to you guys in Canada. So yeah, so nice to be here. And I thought I knew a lot about science fiction until I saw your vintage science fiction podcast, and now I know that I'm just a dilettante in the business.
You are so well read. You've read a lot of books I haven't read. And if we look at this map here, way above Iceland, if you look at that rift between Greenland and the island that is way above there, that's the Spitsbergen. Was that the name?
Yeah, Spitsbergen or Svalbard, 2 different names for the same place. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if you look along that rift, there's a little tiny black dot, and that's kind of about where you are, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the Molloy Deep, which is 5.5 kilometers deep. It's the deepest part of the Arctic Ocean, and it's one of our areas that we look at because this is because it's so deep. A lot of stuff ends up in there, so we're looking at how nutrients are ending up in there, and also things like pollutants, maybe like plastics. So we hear a lot about plastic transport, and a lot of plastics, unfortunately, are being transported there, be it by the air or by ocean currents.
Wow.
So we're looking at that sort of thing all across the region. But our main thing, I think, is more, to me at least, is the ecological change, how the creatures are changing in response to the warming oceans. So that's my main focus. I run the underwater camera is my main job. So I photograph the seafloor, and we see what animals were there 25 years ago and what animals are there now, and how things are changing. And that's usually in response to how things change at the surface, where the sun can make algae grow, and the algae dies and sinks down through the ocean and gets eaten by the things on the seafloor. So it's a really connected ecosystem, and the 50 of us on this ship all work together to try and monitor this over time. So it's a nice thing and a dynamic thing, because like most jobs, you sit with your own small community in your job and you don't talk to the wider community. We sit there as benthic biologists talking about seafloor animals, but here we're stuck with these people that look at currents and the algae and the ice, and because we're stuck with them for several months sometimes, we have to actually talk to them. So that's what we're doing here now, all trying to learn from each other and answer the questions together.
So for those who are tuning in, let me just tell you, we're going to be talking, I mean, we've got a real scientist here, and we're going to also be talking about his illustrations for the best of SF Masterworks. He's done all the covers, and there's 2 more coming out in November in time with the Dune movie that's coming out as well. And we'll talk about those sort of things. We're going to talk about his illustrative technique, etc. But let's say hi to a few people here. You had mentioned Stanislav Lem. This is my friend Bart. He has a a channel called Bart's Book Space, and he's from Poland originally. And so he and I have talked about Stanislaw Lem a couple times with Fiasco and The Invincible, and I've talked to him about Solaris as well. So he's excited that you're here.
Yeah, I mean, like some of the seafloor ecosystems that we see remind me of Fiasco, for example. Here in the Arctic, this ridge you just showed on your map, some of these ridges have these seamounts, and we found that on top of this seamounts, the entire top is covered by sponges, this big, really big sponges, even crawling very, very slowly, like they're crawling a few centimeters a year. They are crawling across there. And when we looked at them the first time, it reminded me most of something like, I think it's Fiasco, where they go to this planet where everything's connected by these wires. They can't understand how anything's working or going on. It looked just like that. And I even mentioned it in some of my papers and some of my things, that how much these things remind me of this. You know that there's life, you know that life is functioning, but you can't understand how it's functioning or why it's in these locations. So it's really, really satisfying to see these locations and try and figure them out. And to me, they're much like that. It's not like in Star Trek where they find a new ecosystem and there's very much humans there. Here it's very different. It's the same on the bottom of that place we just showed you on the map, the Molloy Deep. There on the seafloor, there's a huge amount of sea cucumbers, one of which I'll show you later, which are like holothurians. Yeah, this little blue dot there. These creatures that crawl along the seafloor, slowly eating everything on the seafloor. So in that black hole there are absolutely hundreds of these small sea cucumbers, sometimes hundreds per square meter on the seafloor. Very, very strange, and it's really like a Lem situation. The planets are very, very different. The ways of life in these locations, in these ecosystems, is very much like other planets rather than what we're used to from our planet. You know, it's very different. Yeah, so I really like that. It really connects me with those books.
Yeah. So we got Bart from Colorado here. He's from Boulder, Colorado. And we've got a librarian of rare books from Toronto. Her name is Andrea. She's here as well. And she's saying hi to you.
Hi.
So we'll come back to comments later on. And feel free to give us questions about the science, but questions also about what's like to be an illustrator for the SF Masterworks. Or some questions in general about some of the books. He knows a lot about science fiction. You're one of those you're one of those illustrators who's read the books you're illustrating, right?
Absolutely. I mean, they hired me for Galance originally because I produced these postcards and posters for a library, actually. I did a library show of 10 of these posters based on the 1950s travel posters we had in the UK advertising trains. There would be the name of a location, a really terrible joke, and then similar destinations include. So if you like planets with rivers, like Riverworld, maybe there's some other planets that have got rivers on. So that's, like this one here's my latest one that just plays a strange sort of mental place that he goes to in the course of the heart in a M. John Harrison book. So so that's how I started, actually. And Galance liked them. They somehow heard of them. Actually, I still don't really know how they heard of them, but I think someone put something on the internet from one of these library shows. I did one in Croatia and I did one in Germany. And anyway, they asked me if I would do the first 6 for them, because I'd done I Am Legend, one of the first ones, and they liked it, and they asked if they could use it on the book, and then they said they want to use more. So that's how that started. I was really lucky, but I did it to draw attention to those books in the library setting, books that I've always loved, using the straightforward illustration style, the sort of Belgian fine line style, we call it, like 2 or 3 thicknesses of pen, a limited color palette. It's much of what they did with Tintin and Asterix, these sort of comics. And I use that style pretty much. And it's appealing to the modern viewer, I think. And also it goes along with this advertising poster idea, because they had, in the old times, they had a limited color palette. They could only print 56 colors in those times. So I keep it limited myself, and I try and use a particular color range. So, and I think that ties the range together, the books that we have here. But I think that's what attracted Galance to these sort of illustrations. And think, oh, maybe this is a different way to sell these books to the modern audience. So Riverworld is a hard one, I think. I mean, Riverworld, I don't know if it's ever had any good covers, really. You sometimes see the paddle steamer. Apart from the paddle steamer, no one's really shown the steepness of the valleys, which I tried to do in this illustration. So I really tried to do it. Before the show, me and Richard were talking about some things, like I'm going to go into Tromsø, which is a fjord in Norway, and this is actually based on this sort of structure. Very, very steep cliffs. It's a little exaggerated, and these tiny little houses at the bottom, and that's how it's sort of described in Riverworld. So in cases like this, I try to draw from life when I can, and this is a view I see every year when I'm finishing my cruise in this area. I go into this location, so I really try and sketch originally from life, and then put it into these book covers later on. So even though I'm doing science fiction places, I think it grounds it in some sort of a reality where I can. I try to do that. Yeah.
And we were talking about Tromsø, Norway, because I'm going to be there on a cruise next summer, and I'll talk to you guys about that in the future. And he'll happen to be in north of Canada, above the Arctic Circle again. And so I was teasing that maybe we should just do a stream again where I'll be in Norway and he's in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a rare time for us. This ship's 42 years old. It's only the second time we've been in the waters. We'll be in the waters north of Canada. So we really have some things we always do, and we always try and do something different. Like we go to Tasmania a couple of years ago, and now we're going to go to the north of Canada in a joint project. So it's great to see different areas, and I always get some new inspiration from the areas, be it from the seafloor or from the terrain that we go to. So and they are often in my books, they really do turn up on the covers.
And I was mentioning that librarian. It's really cool to hear that the connection that eventually got you connected to illustrate book covers was for library promotion of books. That's very cool.
Yeah, that was what you said, right? I do love the books. So I'd read a lot of the Sci-Fi Masterworks. I didn't have an awesome list like you that you were showing on your show a few weeks ago, but I had managed to acquire quite a lot of them in my science fiction searches, and I really loved the range. So it couldn't be a better gig for me to actually draw the covers for these Sci-Fi Masterworks. I mean, I've really loved it. And I loved all the books pretty much. I really liked all the books. Some I had never read before. I'd never read Sherry Tepper's Grass before, and I had never read Sarah Canary before. So some of the books I'd never read, and I really enjoyed reading them new. And some of them are here. So some of the books I really loved. Like I really love. I don't know if it's in this initial range. It's Roadside Picnic, one of my favorite books. So when I got that gig, I couldn't be happier. And as I think you can see from the books, I try to draw them from the book, not the film. If there's been a film, I try to do it from the book source and the location that's really only in the book. Like the Blade Runner one, I try to take the character that's actually in the book. I do put the staircase in from the movies. I do make it look a little like the hotel. But I Am Legend is sketched from a photograph taken in the very street where the book was set. A photograph taken in the year that the book was set. So if I couldn't get there in person, I'll do something like that. The top right corner there is Neuromancer, and that's me in a selfie there. And that's a really interesting one to talk about a little bit, because William Gibson, as you know, is still alive, and he's still very keen and hands-on in his books and the covers for his books. So he really had a lot of back and forth. And the original cover had a car on it, and he said, there's no cars in my books, change it. And so I put myself on it instead, so which I was happy to do, actually. But he's paying such an attention to it that the words there, on the posters there, the Japanese text, and I got that checked by a Japanese colleague who's also an underwater cameraman that I work with, and also a science fiction fan. So I sent him what I thought was a Japanese text, and he corrected it. But William Gibson asked me, he said, look, does that say something it shouldn't say? Is that really saying the things? So they're actually saying the things from the book, and it's guaranteed. So I really checked into that. And so it's been a real fun process for me to work with William Gibson. Was a joy, because I read Neuromancer myself in the first very popular mass paperback edition. It's got a guy's head on the cover. He's got his arm something like this. A UK paperback with a shining silver embossed text. Very exciting. And I read that in the least Neuromancer town in the world, a little village in Lincolnshire where we have potatoes and nothing else. It's just not the sprawl. But I went to W.H. Smith's and bought this book, and I remember reading it in the square. I think I was 14 or something, and I bloody loved it. And I told all this to William Gibson when we were talking about this book cover. So that was really great to say. I mean, like, how much that book meant to me, because I really loved Neuromancer, all of the Neuromancer books, and it was a real joy to put myself on that cover. And some of my friends I know from back then who are into science fiction said, well, why didn't you put me on that cover? Hey, you learn how to draw, and then maybe you can go on the Neuromancer cover. But yeah, some of the other people are biologists. Sarah Canary is actually a sponge biologist that specializes in the sponges that I talked about. So she's a sponge biologist. They're almost all drawn from life. All the people are from life. The Forever War is my son in a spacesuit. I took him into a forest in a spacesuit and drew him. So yeah, I really try to draw from life. It may look digital, but it's all hand drawn, as I'll show you later on a few slides I've put together.
Yeah.
So it's all hand
drawn.
drawn.
We have a slideshow about that process of how you do this. I know that one of the questions coming up here on the chat was about that, wanted to know about your drawing process. And these are the initial 21. There's the 2 more that are coming now for the Dune Messiah and the Children of
Dune. Yeah.
And there was something we were talking before the show. We had a nice really chat before the show. So we're going to repeat a couple things that you said in there. Having put this together and the lists and stuff like that, I'd never noticed there's a motif through here. I don't know if people from the comments will notice this, but you want to tell us about the motif, and then we'll go to some of the comments.
Yeah. So as you might notice, I've put a circle in pretty much every one. I've put it in pretty much every one of my posters, which are now numbering 86. So I think there's maybe 2 pictures where there's no circle involved, but I read once that you should always follow these 6 design rules, and one of the rules was always break one of the rules. So I set myself a set of design rules, a certain font, a certain size, format, things like that, and I always break one thing in here. So there's a poster which I haven't figured out how to sell yet, which is Ring World, which is like the postcards you used to get that fold down. So I have a Ring World one, which I don't know how to sell it or mass produce it yet. So that's breaking the format rule. So one of the things I tried to do is to put the circle in there. So I use the limited color palette, these internet ready colors, which are when the internet was set up, they agreed that all the browsers would show certain colors in the same way. So I tend to use that exclusively, that palette. That's one of the rules I do for the illustrations. And the other one is to get a circle in there somewhere. It can't always be in the center, it can be off. Some of them are very small. These ones, there's the circle of Saturn and the 3 eyes of the alien in the Sirens of Titan, for example. Often it's the moon, but it's on Rendezvous with Rama. It's the cool electric generator at the end of the platform as Jimmy Pack cycles his air bike towards it. And of course the Golden Globe in Roadside Picnic, which is not in any of is not in the adaptation, not in the film. So I put the Golden Globe in there because it's such an awesome thing in the book that everyone wants to get to this globe to get their wishes fulfilled. So I put it there where it should be, by the digger tractor, just like it is in the book. Yeah. So and the man who fell to Earth, that's another biologist, but it's a female biologist. I said to them when I did this book, you don't want me to draw David Bowie, do you? Because he's in the movie version. So I drew my friend, and I gender swapped her. And I made her a cat's eye. But she was very pleased with it. She went into Berlin, into a big bookshop in Berlin, and said, "Look, it's my eye," and showed the people working in there that. So it's a circle that links all these books, really. Yeah.
Well, I'd mentioned, I think that Roadside Picnic is one of my favorites. Also, the one for Flowers for Algernon, you probably can't necessarily see here, but inside the eye, there's a maze inside that circle as well. And if you know
that's
the story,
an interesting cover you mentioned there. It's an interesting cover there. I mean, you mentioned that. I love the maze motif, but the Flowers for Algernon, of all of these covers, that's the one that was the hardest to go through because I did a number of versions. Most of them were not very happy for the mouse. There was ones with scalpels and the mouse with a lot of physicality on it, a lot of scars and stuff like that. There was a mouse in the foreground and a sort of repeating motif of all the medical props behind it. This one took a while before Galance were happy, and I think they made a good choice. I've always had a good experience with Galance, and usually we've got it ready after two drafts. But I think the Flowers for Algernon had a number of drafts, and I think they chose the best one. But occasionally I chose some of the other ones. I don't think I got them on this computer, unfortunately. But Flowers for Algernon is such a powerful book. I mean, and it's such a classic example of a good gateway into science fiction. People always today, except people who watch this show, of course, think that science fiction is Star Trek and Star Wars. But You get a book like Flowers for Algernon, which is just about how intelligence is increased and what that might mean. One simple thing taken to its extent, an increase in intelligence is something we might manage, so it's an interesting thing. And what I found most moving about that book is that the intelligence starts to leak away, but the person knows it's leaking away. And as we're an aging society and more of us know people with dementia and things like that, and mental breakdowns as we age, this book is extremely powerful, I think, today. It shows the fear that people can have when they face these mental declines. I think it's a wonderful book, and I really loved that one. So it's another one I'm really proud to be part of.
And I love the phonetic spelling within the book, how it shows that intelligence increase and then a loss by the diary entries of the main character.
Yeah, it's absolutely a fantastic book. Yeah. I'll just mention one more in here, which would be Gateway. I absolutely love the book Gateway. I love the way it's written. I love the characterization. I love everything about Gateway. I love it. And I love the fact that here, for the black hole, which I'm probably spoiling it, but I guess you all readers will have seen it, this black hole is in there. And to do the black hole just as a bold black, and you can't see it on the screen, but they've made that very shiny. Gallants have made almost all of them with shine foil on. Yeah. So the black hole is really shiny. And I was glad to do this one and put the two spaceships there exactly like they're described in the book. Gateway has never, ever, ever, ever had a cover that has anything to do with the book, as far as I can see. If anyone can show me a Gateway cover that has anything to do with the book, I'd be impressed. Because, Chris Foss has done two spaceships together, and in the book there's two spaceships. Let's do that. Nothing against that painting, but it's nothing to do with the Gateway spaceships. It's nothing to do with what's going on in the book. It's like, they're just space fighters or something, but that's nothing to do with what's going on in the book. So I think that one I'm really quite proud of. I don't know if it's the design's perhaps not my strongest design, but I'm really pleased that that's so close to the book, that illustration.
Well, this is what I love, though, is that you know the books and you know what the visuals are, and that you are so passionate about that.
I'm definitely passionate about it. So much so that if I couldn't get it agree with them, I don't know what I would do. I wouldn't put my name to a cover that I didn't like. I wouldn't do that. I mean, I put a lot of effort into them to do the best I can to them. Getting the photographs, the source photographs, all of the uniforms for the policemen in the Body Snatchers, and the view is the village that's mentioned in the book. And maybe it's overkill, but I wanted the actual outline of the mountains that's actually from the place in the book. It probably is overkill, but I think that it gives it a depth. Well, I hope it gives it a depth that's you can only help it.
Let's go to a few comments here. I'll show this one first. No, not that one. Sorry. Jake goes wrong choice always
I think that's a copyright thing, I think anytime you touch a movie product, it's a problem. God almighty, I love the Barry version. I mean, I really love that Barry film. It's one of my favorite 70s sci-fis. I love Barry and everything. He is that character for me. I'll never be able to see or read The Man Who Fell to Earth and not think it's Barry. I'm not sure he didn't think he was the character when he made the film.
So we're just going to go randomly through the comments here, starting up a little bit higher. Have you seen the Mountains of Madness yet? I think that's a reference to the north.
The Mountains of Madness. That's down south, right? The Antarctic Mountains of Madness. So yes, well, I have seen Mount Erebus and the mountains that they talk about that inspired him, I guess, when those first explorers were down there. The mountains in Antarctica are really strange because the horizon you can't see, because you're usually on a very, very, very slowly going up a slope, the ice shield, and then you realize there's actually mountains and they're zooming off above it. And always there is a very, very fine mist of snow coming around from them, or clouds in there. They are extremely otherworldly, the Antarctic mountains. I've been to them around the peninsula of Antarctica, and so they're very impressive. I haven't been to the Transantarctic mountain range per se in the middle, unfortunately, yet. It's a long way from the ocean. I mean, it comes out as the peninsula and it comes out the other way, but I haven't been into the central sections where Danforth and Dyer fly their little plane, but I have drawn it in my range of posters. I didn't mention it before, but I told you I drew the the I Am Legend cover based on the photograph from there, but some of the pictures I make screen prints of, and I limit the number of screen prints to the number of years since the book was written. And I did that for the Mountains of Madness. So I've got a screen print of that, which I think I did it 90 years after it was written. So there's 90 prints of that. So I really like to tie it to the books in as much as even that much, the screen prints. So if I do a screen print of a recent author, J.G. Ballard or something like that, I can only do 30 or 35 prints, and then that's it, that's finished. But that's the way I've set it up, so that's what I have to do. So I can only sell 35, then it's finished. So yeah.
Wow, the commitment. You know what? I was going to mention your website is AP
illustration.co.uk. Yeah.
.uk, apillustrations.uk. You know what? I'm going to put that into the comments as well.
apillustration.co.uk. Yeah.
Here, let me just see if I get this right, because people might want to look it up while we're talking here too. So is that right? AP
illustration.co.uk. I can't see where it is actually.
.co. Okay, let me try that again. AP. I don't know if you can see the comments.
I can't actually. Oh yeah, there they are. Yeah.
Okay, so it's .co.uk.
apillustration.co.uk.
Okay.
Maybe I can join the chat.
Yeah.
No S. Oh,
no S. Okay.
No
I've
S.
got to correct it one more time.
Sorry,
I just want people to find it, because I think that they might be interested in looking at your artwork as we're talking about this too. And
yeah, that's right. That's right.
In, like those travel posters, in lithographs, etc. So here's another one. He asks also, did you find any crashed spaceships up in the Arctic? Or
yeah, well, crashed spaceships is certainly on my wish list. Yeah, I'm looking all over there. We have found things like unexpected battle zones with hundreds and thousands of shell casings on the seafloor from an area where there is no listed engagement. So I guess nothing was sunk, but they were shooting the cartridges off. So we found things like that. One time I was in a submarine and I saw something that looked like this. It looked like a hand on the seafloor. I thought, what the hell is that? And it was a rubber glove that must have fallen off a trawler and fallen on a sponge. So it was sitting like that. That was a weird thing to spot. A spaceship would have been better. That's true. Or Atlantis, or, but I haven't seen any of these yet. But I will tell you if I find it. So, yeah.
Awesome. You'll hear it. You'll hear first. All right. Bart says, I would love to see your work on LEM covers at some point. Masterworks can get the rights. I've talked to people. They know that Masterworks has many rights from Golanx, but they don't have all of them. So, and that's why LEM you can't find there. I think Penguin owns the paperback rights for that.
Yeah, that's right. Penguin has the paperback. They've got new modern covers. I quite like them. They're very much like the 1980s Milan Kundera covers. They're sort of mix of photographs and illustration. They're quite good, I think, the LEM ones. Yeah.
You do have a Solaris travel poster, though, right?
Yes, it was the third one I drew, or the second one. It was Solaris is one of my favorite books. I absolutely love it. I actually love the Invincible 2, and I have 2 for the Invincible. I've got the planet from the Invincible, and I have the planet that is exploding and causing the Invincible.
I don't think I've seen those. I'll have to look again.
No, they're not online yet. They're on there briefly, but I haven't quite decided on the colors. So they were up there briefly, but they're down again. But they are done, the 2 there. But
I look forward to that. I love the Invincible. I thought that was a great book.
A great book. The Invincible is fantastic. It goes along a little bit like what I'm doing here. We've got all the equipment. We think we can do everything, but then nature just baffles you. It doesn't destroy us, I hope.
Now, we talked about this
book, even though Lem didn't like it much himself. Oh, yeah, Lem didn't like it much himself, but I love the Invincible. Yeah, I think it's a great one. But Solaris, I think one thing that gives it such a depth is he talks about the encyclopedia of Solaris and these scientific journals about Solaris in there, and he gives it a back history to what's going on. I found that very satisfying in Solaris.
We have a question about, will you take us through your process from reading to illustration? How about we'll just go through some comments, but then we'll get to that slideshow that you have.
Yeah.
And talking about, let's see, both freezing butts off. That's from the comments from when the the Mountains of Madness and finding spaceships. From your talk about the Neuromancer cover, the Japanese text would have been a self-referential joke if it had been an ad for Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we have here. And user unfriendly. I'm trying to remember user unfriendly what your real name is. Sorry, if you want to make a comment on that, I'll say your proper name. But he's intrigued by that idea of limiting your color palette. He told me that earlier too, and I was very fascinated by that too. I remember programming some HTML early in the days of the internet coming into there to make some pages, and that was that's very interesting. There's a lot of choices you make that people just aren't aware of, but really affect the vibe of what you do.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think that's been a really important thing for me. I mean, like, you can do any colors on the internet. You can paint it. You can, of course, paint as well. But I mean, like, I really think I really like the bold graphic. I think I loved Tintin's exploration of areas and stuff like that. And a lot of the books I do with the travel idea goes along with that too. So I think it really worked for me to do that. It doesn't have to be always the case. I do occasionally get a guest illustrator. My Amber book is done by a guest illustrator. My Amber travel poster, for example, I got as guest illustrator. So I will occasionally get someone in to do something else. But for my own covers, it's mostly done like that. Yeah. I'm stuck with it now.
I didn't realize you had a guest anime or artist.
Amber, Seven Princes in Amber in this range is a guest illustrator. There's also a one for J.G. Ballard one. And I have another poster for J.G. Ballard one for a short story called Chronopolis, where I got actually an award-winning artist from the Royal Academy to do the poster. And she made it like a Pan Am travel poster from the 1970s, an airline poster for this Chronopolis place. But I can't put that on my website because she's pretty famous and she's selling it for a lot more money than I can command on my website from her actual proper art gallery. So, but it wasn't somehow affiliated with my range.
So look, if you have those old cards from the libraries, look for it.
yeah.
Andrea loves your Transylvania poster.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. The Transylvania one was a special for Journey Planet, a fanzine. So they did a Dracula special, and I did a Transylvania one. That was really fun to do. And that one, I decided to mix in a bit of information from the movie, from the Dracula movie, which Coppola's Dracula, where it's filmed as if it's the painting by Kupka, this where there's this sort of statue, a painting that Kupka did. And in the movie, that's used as Dracula's castle. So in my poster, I used another Kupka painting for the background people. So I also referenced that. So somehow, by taking the background information from the Czech artist Kupka, I referenced the movie at the same time. So that's probably a bit too much detail, but I did that for that post.
Once again, you can find them at apillustration.co.uk if you want to look at these up while we're talking too. Let's see. And once again, reading the book should be mandatory for illustration. I think, I think that you agree. Here we have, I should put it in the description box as well. I will do that. I'll wait till afterwards. But for the description box for this video, you'll have that link. I'll make sure it's up high. Let's see, anything else here? What's this one about Solaris? I like the more recent adaptation of Solaris. I found the Tarkov unwatchable. Okay, there's two of them. There's a lot of people who say that Tarkov's version, that first one, is the best. This person's thinking the one that's in the 2000s. I think it's with
Steven Soderbergh and George Clooney. Soderbergh directed it. Clooney was starring in it. Yeah. It's got a far more compelling soundtrack, the second one. I like them both, but I to be honest, I find it easier to watch the second one. The first one's quite long. I really like the bits of the planet in the first one, but I find the interstitials too long. I think the way that they filmed the planet was really magical in the original, in the Tarkovsky one. But I agree to a large extent that I prefer the second one. Also, the visuals in the second one from outside the planet. What I missed in the second one was any real visuals of the planet. If he'd managed to mix into that some visuals of the planet, I would have been bang on for the second version. So, but but I know that what's I don't know if you know what Lem said himself about the two films. He says
No.
both those films were okay, but I didn't realize I was writing Love in Space, because there's always the love story is put front and center in both the versions. But I really loved the soundtrack to the second one. I don't know if it was the guy that did the soundtrack to Dune. I'm not sure, but I quite liked it. I think that Clooney really was a really good Chris Kelvin. I think he did a really good job in the second movie. The first guy was fine in the first one too, but I'm thinking that user unfriendly. I kind of agree in that role. I think I prefer the second one a little bit.
We just found out his name is Andrew.
Yeah.
There we go. Good stuff, Andrew. And we have Sephiros is another YouTuber. Whoops, let's see here. I just missed it. YouTuber joining us. Welcome. He's over from Sephiros, you're gonna have to help me. I think you're from, it's either Ireland or Scotland. You'll have to forgive this Canadian for messing up, but over in the UK there. And we have Captain Finity Time Police, Travel Police. So these are a couple people here. He's still not watched the old Solaris, but he's got it on Blu-ray. And I can't remember the planet in Clooney's version. So you're onto something here.
I tell you, there is a good Lem film. I think a good Lem film based on one of his earlier stories, The Magellanic Cloud, and that film is called Icari XB1, which is about the spaceship that goes off to this distant planet. There's sort of 4 vignettes that happen when he's going there. They find a derelict spaceship and they go past the planet that's causing trouble electromagnetically. It sends the ship crazy. It's an old Czechoslovakian film, predates Star Trek, and Star Trek basically ripped off a lot of it, as did one. You can see when you watch this film, some of the scene for scene in 2001, but even though this is earlier, that's a really good adaptation. And when the DVD came out for that, I actually did a limited edition set of prints for that, which came with the DVD for some releases. So, but you won't get any of them because they were sold at conventions. There's but that was a good film. Icari XB1 was a good Lem adaptation.
Yeah. Sorry, Sephiros. But Jake thinks you're from Oz. Well, you know what? We should get to that slideshow so you can tell us a little bit more about getting this together here. Let me just see where I can find it here.
Do I have to go to present? Shall I try it?
If you have it there, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I can. I think I can do it. Let me try this. Let's see if it works.
I think it did last time we were just experimenting, because you were able to control it at least. Yeah. I might have to put it up there first.
Oh yeah, I think maybe you have to do that. Yeah.
Let's see here. It would be. Oh, here it is. It's slides, so we can go back to the beginning there if you want to.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll go back to the beginning. Close your eyes for a minute, guys. Oh, stuck on 19. It's not letting me go back. Maybe I have to.
Let me see what I can do here. Here, you know what? I think I can do is I can do all the slides here. Maybe I can get right to one. There. You good to go there?
Yeah. Let's see if I can change it now. Yeah. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about how I make these covers. So firstly, like we talked about, I really have to the posters that I do, they're really for me, and they're for my own interest. They're for libraries, they're to sell as postcards, they're to sell as pictures to people that love the books. So I really have to be inspired by a book to do this. So this one, In the Course of the Heart by M. John Harrison, which is a writer from England whose latest book has just come out a few days before the cruise, which I've got here, The End of Everything I bought to bring with me on this cruise. I love that book. I read it recently, so I decided to try and make a picture from it. This is the final result, but I'll show you what I do. So when I feel like doing one of these covers or posters, I look up other covers that they've got. And this one, for example, where you got someone in the countryside being shot by arrows, The Course of the Heart, I guess that means, it's... So I look up the other covers that have come before. Sometimes there's some classics. Francis Stevens, Citadel of Fear, for example, has got such a fantastic cover done a few years ago. So sometimes I think, oh God, shall I even bother? Some of the covers or posters are so good. But say I carry on. Then I think of the motif from the book I like. I'm really into Neolithic landscapes, stone circles, burial mounds, things like that. I find them quite evocative, and I'm interested in archaeology. Part of that book is set in an area with a burial tomb, and that was in my mind. But also this flower lady that makes an appearance in the book, and then I thought about this sketch I made in a museum recently here, with this woman looking to the side, slightly aloof, slightly intense. I thought about this sketch I made while I was visiting Crete on a piece of it was a piece of a broken pot, and I did this sketch, and I thought, well, this would be a good outline for this lady that I want to draw in my poster, this flower lady. And this flower lady is sort of conjured by magic by one of the characters in this book, or perhaps it's just a mental delusion, but whatever. And in the book, it even describes the species of flowers that she's made from. So in this case, then I'd find the photographs online, and I got these printouts of the photographs, and I have these in my mind. And then I look at these flowers and I think, well, how can I summarize this flower? Maybe it's got 5 petals, and there's maybe 2 colors in each petal, and maybe there's a circular stamen in the middle or something like that. So I summarize the flower, and then I draw by hand on paper in 2 or 3 thicknesses of ink my design. Sometimes it can be more than 1 layer. Like, for example, I might have wanted to draw this. I might have drawn all the flowers and this lady on a separate layer, and I've got an analog light box, which is basically just a bright white table, and I can slide these pieces of paper above each other and lay it out how I want. But
can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
So do you start with pencil and then go with your markers, or
straight
how do
into
you do
pen?
it?
That's a fantastic question. And when I started illustration, I did work in pencil, but I was always rubbing stuff out and things like that. And then I'll tell you the whole story. I had a horrendous accident in the late 90s. I had a violent mugging. I was in hospital for a long time, and I was quite badly injured. And then after I came out of hospital, I decided in lots of aspects of my life to make some big changes and make things more decisive. And one thing I changed immediately was that I didn't do pencil anymore. Then I started sketching into pen. Like, I'm going to hold up now to the camera my sketchbook. Everything directly into pen.
I want to make your image large here.
So everything is in pen. So I do sketching almost exclusively directly into pen. Yeah. All
right, go for it now.
Yeah. So I do my sketches directly into pen. This is from the Ring of Brogdar in Orkney a few months ago, for example. So I do all my sketches straight into pen. I mean, if I'm doing a layout, I might occasionally use pencil. For this spider that I'll show you later, I did pencil it out first because I wanted to get the ratios exactly right for that spider legs, but it's extremely seldom. This one, there was no pencil involved whatsoever. This one, I just drew straight out like that, straight into pen. I mean, it's quite simple because it's an outline of a woman. I'm not trying to do any gradiated shaving or anything like that. And I'd already drawn the picture of the pot. So this one was I had the pot next to me, and I drew this one based next to it. The photo in the background, we can see the stone burial mound, and that is the actual burial mound in Cornwall from the book. This dolmen you can see there. So this is mentioned in the book, so that's the actual one from the book. And all of the plants, all of the species are the actual ones mentioned in the book. And then I color it, and as we talked about earlier, I color it in this case digitally, and I use the base internet colors, and that's how I did that one, and the very red flower. So that's going back to the flower from the source material there. So that's that rose there, the royal rose that I did there. Yeah.
There's a quick question that has to deal with this. What was the rationale for dropping pencil and just going straight to?
I think that you get much more confidence with line. You get much more confidence with line. I found that was such a good way to.
There's a chance that
if you've got a pencil and then you're choosing the best line over it. Oh, hello.
You're back.
Yeah, you got the best line over it. I think that's a step away. Yeah, I'll say. Sorry about that. I think that it's more immediate and smoother if you go straight into pen. And I think it's something I like to do. Because I'm doing these things digitally, I'm scanning them into the computer. The black and white that I've drawn, I'm scanning it into the computer. If I've made a big mistake, I can remove that digitally. I can remove those black pixels from the bit I don't like. I scan it into the computer as a 2-color TIFF, no grayscale. It's purely black or purely white at the scanning stage. So I could just remove all of the ones I don't like at that stage. And say I've made 3 reasonable mistakes. That's about the limit that I would modify digitally thereafter. If it's less than 3, great. If it's more than 3, I'd probably just start the drawing again. Yeah, and then
I love it, though.
so when I'm happy with the
It's
design,
got that raw feel to it then too. It's got
Yeah,
a raw feel
yeah.
of the graphics, even though it looks so perfect here in many ways. I'm sure if you look closely, it's got that more of an organic feel because you just all did it straight with your pen.
Yeah, you can certainly tell that when you see the hands that I try to avoid drawing, because like things like that, I really benefit from pencil
And
work.
they're tough. I don't know if you know,
to keep
I
the-
did some cartoons at one point, and so I know a little bit about this process too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you want to summarize it. Cartoons, you can summarize many things and make it simple, like this outline of this lady here. But I seem to have cropped her hands off there. If I had drawn her hands there, it would be something like this. It would be the fingers would all be together and the thumb would be separate. I would keep it like that for the most part.
Yeah.
If some of my postcards, I've got one for a book called The Wild for Hagworthy, by The Wild Hunt of Hagworthy. It's a children's book by Penelope Lively. I've drawn a hand in there and it's awful, but I've left it the same because that's the way I drew it. And I thought about redrawing it, but I thought, no, I'm going to leave it like that for the immediacy, like you said. So I think it gives it something for me to do it like that. Yeah. So when I've got the picture ready,
the captions here and the fonts.
Yeah. So when I've got the picture ready, then I do the I try and have the joke. So there's always some sort of little joke. Like in this book, it's M. John Harrison is really reporting on a spell that's done by a set of people. You don't see them do the spell. You see them preparing to do the spell when they're late teenagers, early 20s, and something goes wrong, and that you don't see the spell cast. All you see is their lives going to rubbish thereafter as they go awry in different directions throughout the rest of the book. So M. John Harrison is just observing. He's not passing judgment on anything there. They have a wonderful time, some of them, briefly. So M. John Harrison suggests nothing, I say there. And then I can't remember what I've written there, but I've written below that, those dots and lines you can see, that's Ogram language, which is like this old Irish and magical language. And that's actually from a translation. I put that into an online translator to get the text. And then I put that in there. So that's one of the things I change every time. So I keep the same fonts, but in this case, I've put that in there too.
Someone who saw this picture that I'd put up recognized that that's what that was.
Yeah, right. I noticed that on your last on the comments somewhere over there. I think that's really interesting. And this one also, you can see this behind where I've written Pleroma. I've done a sort of faded backgrounds there. That's because the reality in this particular book is all blurred with dreams and stuff like that. I tried to show that in the poster. Below that, I've got similar destinations include, and that I always include because I want people to read more books, and unusual books in particular that might be related to this. So places where spells go badly wrung, for example, would be things I throw to in that one, or lands that are somehow not real, or between reality and fiction, or between death and life. So I put that in there. The sort of destinations include, and even down at the bottom, the copyright notice. There's even jokes in the copyright notice sometimes, like for example,
the Ursula
Le Guin ones. Yeah. So Ursula Le Guin ones, for example, often reference the planets, or where we are in the Hainish cycle. It was referenced in the copyright section there. So for people that know the books to enjoy, they don't cost anything to put in there, but the people who like the books, I hope, will enjoy the book, the comments and the jokes in there. Yeah, so like here. So here you can see them. They are fictional places. Oh, they're from books. The King's Roads, Susanna Clarke's from what's it called? Jonathan Strange, and that book.
Dr. Morrow.
The King's Roads, this fantastic area linking the different realities. That's much like this here. So that's what I've got there. And the Mansus is a computer game. That's based on a computer game location by these two independent computer writers that have written this computer game, which is set in one of these places. And it's a very small production house. And they based it on this. I sent him this poster, actually, to say I've referenced them in this. Because they say that they're inspired by this book and other books that I love. So they're doing their own thing about drawing attention to these strange books. Yeah, and then here we have a different thing. So like I say, I always try and draw from life. So when I did the June covers for June Messiah, I didn't want to do the sand like I did for the first Dune book. So I thought I'd do something else. The second two Dune books are much more character-based than the first book. Yes, they're still on the sandy planet, but I thought, well, let's try and put the character on there. Dune Messiah is about the Messiah, the son of the character in the main book, I think, or he's in there. So, no, this is actually him, isn't it? The main character goes blind in the book. He gets his eyes burnt out by this strange device. I don't wanted to draw that scene there, so I decided on my composition where my circles were going to be, and I took a photograph of myself and sent it to my model and told my model to stand how he is. So that's my son there. His name is actually Leto. I'm not even joking. He's actually Leto, but there he's playing Paul Atreides in this particular modeling. And then,
how did he
then
get
of course,
the name Leto?
I got the name. They're all named after asteroids, my kids, and
Oh,
Leto is one of the first asteroids found. So it's a main asteroid belt asteroid. It's called Leto, and so I named him that. And so I think he did a very good job of posing exactly how I wanted him. And then I did that illustration on the right, and that's what I sent to Galance. But Galance said, no, we don't want that. I said, you want me to put sand and a worm? And they said, yeah, we want you to put sand and a worm. So that illustration went nowhere. And I tried the same with the next book, and that's my daughter. So that's Tesla there, and this is for Children of Dune. And here we have one of the offspring, or there's his sister, I think it is. And I penciled in some worms behind. There's the layout here. I just put in some where the worms would go, and I got my daughter to stand like that. And then I did that illustration based on that layout there. So that was the one I sent to them, or one similar to that I sent to them for the second book, but they didn't want that. So in the end, we went with this one. I started off with, on the left, 2 worms. You got all different people there. I did various color morphs, and they could choose between. And they chose something similar to the one on the right. But in the end, they actually also got rid of the people at the front, which actually I'm thinking I would have left the people in there. In the far distance, you've got the people storming through the gap. The gap in the shield wall.
For those who are watching here, and we have these breaks sometimes, he's
Gap,
in the
so,
art. Oh, you're back.
Put that in. Oh,
you were just gone for a
sorry,
moment. I was just going to explain that you're from the Arctic here, and so you're via satellite. We're getting this feed here, and it's doing great. But every once in a while, there's a break. Anyways, you're talking about the people in the gap.
Yeah. So in the end, they've got rid of the people there coming through the gap. The mountain there is actually based in Orkney. So these sketches I showed you recently in my sketchbook, I was in Orkney illustrating a lot of the finds from the burial mounds in Orkney recently, and in some of the museums in Orkney, and I've done some publicity for them. So if you go to Orkney, you can buy my illustrations as postcards in some of the museum shops there. But here is part of the on the mainland of Orkney. It's actually a real ridge of mountains there. So these are actual real places that I sketched directly. But the people are gone from the version that they've taken completely. It's just the worm in the background. So, I mean, I like the cover they've chosen, but I don't know why they got rid of the people in the front, because the people in the front, the white armored guys, they got rid of them. So anyway, so they chose that.
They give you perspective.
I don't know.
That's what I think is missing, that perspective there. Yeah.
Yeah. And the next one is, because they're starting to make the planet watery, I've put the sand in there, and I put these succulents that you get in Spain in there, and I took a cast of some sort of worm there, and I sketched from that in there. The worm is quite busy, but they didn't take that in the end. They made a much simpler choice. They took this one in the end, which has got the bird that's in one of the only animals on Dune when you read the books is this bird. So they took the bird, and I took the city in the background, and I took the waves. So that's the one they chose. I'm happy with all of them. And I think it's always good to give a choice to the people. I think that they're really good at knowing what they want over there, and what holds the better. So I really haven't minded when they've said changes. So yeah.
And I think that the 3 books side by side, they kind of really match.
They look good. You
had
had them together like that. So I haven't seen them together yet, because I haven't got my copies yet. I mean, they usually send me a couple of copies. So I haven't got them yet. And I think they do look good together. You're right. I think that they knew what they were doing, I'm sure. Yeah, and the other recent thing I've been doing is I'm doing a series of posters based on books by women. At science fiction shows, people say to me, well, why have you only got 15% of your books by women? Well, most of the classics, only 15% of them are by women, but they've got a good point. So I decided to do my next set of postcards completely based on books by women. So I've done a lot of James Tiptree's and C.L. Moore and things like that. And now I've just finished the Hainish cycle by Ursula Le Guin. I'm sure your viewers know that they are 7 books, each extrapolating different changes in societal structure or in the physicality of humans and how that might affect how people get on with each other. And I found the books extremely satisfying. I absolutely loved them. I did the cover for the latest edition of The Word for World is Forest. So I did that one. And I just saw someone in the comments saying about Wizard of Earthsea. Yeah. Don't worry, there'll be a Wizard of Earthsea in there somewhere.
Oh,
but
good.
yeah, but like I really enjoyed the space ones. I really I loved the Dispossessed, and I didn't know the first 3. I didn't know Rocannon's World, and I didn't know Planet of Exile, and I've really enjoyed these, and I put a lot of work into Planet of Exile. For example, they're making this strange building that they talk about in the book, and trying to get the bird as right as possible, this signifier of the oncoming winter. The oncoming winter, there's a lot to be said from this book related to the Game of Thrones. I think it's got this long winter cycle. It takes generations to come. There's a lot of similarities. If you read this book now after watching Game of Thrones or reading Game of Thrones recently, you can certainly see some influences in there. Also lost technology and artifacts from previous iterations of the long winter are in there. I find that a very satisfying book. So I've done all of them. Shing Terra, this strange planet, where a strange part of on Earth actually, where they can control the minds of people. Fantastic. I think that's actually somewhere in Canada. I think that view. I can't remember. Maybe it's in America. I can't remember. I think it was in Canada though. I should look that up. And then this one here was from The Dispossessed, which was about 2 planets, or a moon and a planet, that orbit each other. One's capitalist, one's socialist. And they both think they're utopia. Both these planets think they're utopia, the capitalist and the socialist. And one character has to go between them. So I wanted it so you could reverse the poster. So one way you can have it is the capitalist up and then the socialist. So it's a reversible one. And I tried to make a link in there that goes to Ursula Le Guin talking about the book and the societies. I think the link is broken, so I have to redo it. I'm going to put the video on my own website and redo that QR code there. But I found that extremely satisfying to do, and I've had a lot of responses from this when I took it to the recent. I launched this poster series at the EasterCon in UK, so I did it in Birmingham this Easter. It was well received, I think. And Gethin from The Left Hand of Darkness. So this is a great one. This is also a photograph from Orkney on the right. I got my friend to dress up, and I photographed her on the right, and then the one on the left is also a biologist from this ship that was sketched in Antarctica. I really had fun with this one because in the book, these 2 characters, they go across the icy wastes of the central place in this planet, and I love the fact in this book the sex is randomized. You don't know if you're going to be a man or a woman at certain periods, or you don't know if you're going to be male or female at certain periods, and the rest of the time you're not interested in sex or anything like that. I found it's a very interesting idea, and how she's explored it in the book so satisfyingly. I thought that was a really terrific book, and both of the people I got cast in this knew the book and were very happy to do it. So that was good to do. And so I did the 6 of them, and I presented the 6 pictures, including The Word for World is Forest, my latest cover. I presented them at EasterCon. I thought, right, I'm done. I've done the 6. I'll sell them as a nice set. And then someone came along and said, well, you haven't done all of them. You haven't done. I said, what? There's another one. And he said, you haven't done the telling. I didn't know about the telling, which was the last novel she wrote in the series, much after the others. And then I read it recently, and I absolutely love it. I think it might be my second favorite. And so it's based on a sort of little social. It's like I don't know if I can explain it. Like it's quite a corrupted planet by missionaries going there and corrupting what was already a strange planet. And I found it very satisfying to read and to draw that one there. So I based this illustration on photographs of parts of Poland, parts of Russia, parts of Germany. So there's I really enjoyed that book, and I really enjoyed using these early city blocks, which I've also used in my J.G. Ballard illustrations. When we believed that tower blocks were the way forward and could be a utopia, not like Le Guin is always talking about utopias. We know now that city blocks, because they're never managed well, turn into real dumps and real tips after a little while. So I wanted to use them for this purpose in this one. So because I think tower blocks themselves were socialist ideas, much like like she was talking about in some of her books. What I find often influencing my illustrations, science fiction, is what I do in my real life, which is a deep sea ecologist, deep sea biologist. So this is one animal I got 2 weeks ago. We towed up off the seafloor, which is a sea spider here. You can see, again, I've limited the color palette. It's a sea spider. It's a pycnogonid. It's not actually related to a spider. It's actually got more legs than it should if it was a spider. It's actually a bag of a gelatinous material. It doesn't have a circulatory system. It's just goo inside, so it can only get to a certain size. It's fantastically, what it does is it pierces things with its proboscis and sucks them dry while they're still alive. Particularly pleasant way to live. And on its legs, the brown dots you could see, they are foraminiferans, which another animal which live on top of this guy and get carried around, or girl. Actually, this is a male, I think. He's carried around by this sea spider as it goes about its business, filter feeding. So as the spider moves, it gets more. These other animals benefit by getting exposed to new foodstuffs. So I get to get inspired by both how they look and by how the little creatures live.
So was it just transportation for those animals, or is there a symbiotic
transportation to new food? It's not a symbiotic in this case. Okay. They can be definitely. They can be a defensive symbiosis quite often in the deep sea. There's, for example, a certain crab which has an anemone on the back. The anemone benefits by getting transported to new food supplies, but it also defends against predators because all anemones can sting. So it's actually getting defense, and so it can be a symbiosis, a plus-plus relationship. Yeah. Often it's just a plus to one of them, but yeah, it can be. Okay. There's a lot of parasites in the deep sea, but there are symbioses in the deep sea too. The next one is something I've never seen before this particular expedition. So I've seen sea cucumbers before. You know, Japanese and some other countries like to eat these things. They are filter feeding, well, they're deposit feeding organisms. They crawl around on the seafloor, eating everything. So here we see a sort of blue bag, which is the body of the creature. And all that stuff in the middle is its intestines. It's basically sticking one end of itself into the sand, eating everything in the sand, and then jettisoning everything it doesn't need for life. And that's all it does. It just crawls along, eating and excreting the seafloor, sucking out all of the goodness. Now this thing grows even at the bottom of the Molloy Deep, 5.5 kilometers down. Even that deep, new algae does sink to the seafloor for this creature to eat. I mean, how alien does this thing look? I mean, it looks like nothing on any planet, let alone it's on our planet. So I think the things in the left-hand side are the eggs for the next species, or maybe it's part of the animal. I've got to talk to people about it more. But this is an illustration I made the other day. I drew it completely in the way I showed you, all straight into pen. But what I did here was I made 6 or 7 layers. I made the outskirts. Inside I made the layer of the so a layer which is all the intestines, and I put them overlaid in each other in Photoshop, and you can change the opacity, how much color goes through. So even though I started with the base internet colors, I allowed like a 50 or most of the light to go through the various layers, so we get this sort of glassy 3D look in there, even though it's drawn. Still, all of it's drawn with black pen in exactly the same way. Yeah,
well, I can see in the globe part there, I can see that you have sort of a little bit of a white shading to give it that circular 3D look to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that the lines are somewhat indicative that it's echinoderm. It's an echinoderm, if you can believe it. It's related to a sea urchin. It's base 5. It's related to a sea urchin. It's like the creatures from Danforth and Dyer again. It's like the elder things again, these echinoid creatures they talk about in the Mountains of Madness. So yeah, the density of life we mentioned earlier in the books by Lem. This is not an exaggeration. This is how life is in the Powell Basin, which is another one of these deep spots like we talked about earlier, and it's on the wall of one of these deep spots. So water is flowing over the edge, taking a lot of material down this wall, and all of these animals are living there in such huge density. I mean, I find it very inspiring. And again, it really does remind me of Fiasco and Eden, these various Lem planets. So it's, yeah, this one, there's sponges and corals and starfish and fish, everything living there. And it's really based closely on a photograph, that one. So it's really that dense.
Wow.
Mm.
It looks like
it
looks like a collage that you've put together, not
yes,
like
it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And sometimes when I show this, sometimes I do show the base photograph to show that if anything, I've cut animals out so you can actually get a handle on it. There's actually more of the tiny, thin, brittle stars that would cover up almost everything else in some places. Another thing I find particularly inspiring is Neolithic art and art on relics. I mean, I've been doing these sort of illustrations. This is one I did the week before I came on the ship. Which was this strange stone on the left was dug up in another one of these burial mounds. It was underground for 4,600 years, and it has these three figures on there, which I think are fantastic. Even though they're, nearly getting on for 5,000 years old, these three people are still partying. They're still having a good time, and even though they're quite coarsely represented, you can still tell they're having a good time. So I found this very inspiring as a piece of art. And I mean, these so as an idea of how to represent people simply. So much like we talked about earlier, like the Belgian fine line, and you talked about cartooning. It's very simple cartoons of people. So this is a cartoon that's more than 4,000 years old, which I find absolutely amazing. So these things I think will come into book covers more in the future too. I'm not sure if I've done any before, much of the Neolithic ones, but I think this is something I'll do more in the future. Is that all I've got? No, yeah, there's another one. This is a fantastic piece of story. This I find it quite inspiring. It shows the power of science that you can, and I found it quite a science fictional story too. So this skull that you see taking up most of this is a real skull that was found in the 1920s in a bog in Denmark. And there was a recent study which took the teeth of 500 of these bog people that are found in bogs and looked at the food they've been eating and various genetic traces in there. And they now know that this skeleton was living for the first half of its life in the north of Norway. That's the left of this picture. And it was living on a diet of marine creatures, and not just coastal marine creatures, but deep marine creatures like whales and things like that. It shows that 5,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, maybe it's 3,500 years ago, a long time ago, they were living off this diet up there. And still, it was possible for someone who lived up there to live the second half of their life. They know this from their teeth, They were living the second half of their life in the bogs of Denmark. And they were with these plants there, these plants that I show in the illustration. These are the plants that were in that location at that time. And he was eating a diet based on this agriculture for the last half of his life. So I think he lived to 35 and lived half of his time in those two places. So whether he traveled there or he was a slave taken there, we don't know. But we know that it was possible for people to go that far from the north of Norway all the way down to Denmark to live out 15 of their years there. And I think that's a fantastic story. So I did this illustration based on a scientific paper, actually, and they used it for the publicity in Denmark for when they did the tour related to that paper, like showing it off in places. Yeah, so that's the sort of thing I draw, and that's what I've got in this slideshow for you guys. Yeah. So, yeah, I talk too much. I apologize.
Oh, no. This is fascinating. Let's go to some comments here. By the way, I'm not going to be able to highlight everyone's comments here, but I'll just scan through and pick a few of these. Some people were talking about the different movies again for Solaris. And we had someone, Gideon, had joined us and was thanking you. He was finding what you're talking about absolutely fascinating with the creative process, etc. I'm going to just mention, you are on this ship in just off the coast of Greenland and Spitsbergen, and you are what was the phrase for the position you hold on this ship?
I'm the chief scientist on this cruise at the moment. So there's 50 scientists and 50 crew, and one of the scientists is the chief scientist. So I take on what the scientists want to do, and I discuss with the captain what we want to do, and then that's how it works. So I decide on the scientific program. basically that's based on what we've proposed to the government, the funders. The ship costs 60,000 euros a day minimum. And so it's a lot of money. So you propose to use this for a certain thing. And that's what we've done to monitor this place I was telling you about the flows. And the program we have put forward, we've got to make work. And my job is to make that program work. So I can say if some equipment is, maybe, for example, we're measuring the seafloor mud, and maybe that equipment is not working properly. It's my time to decide, my job to decide when we abandon that and move on to the next thing, or ways to solve problems. For example, we've got a rope in the water, which is not responding properly. It's not coming back like it should. So we're trying to design a way to get this bloody rope out of all the equipment on. So that I negotiate with the captain. And yes, that's my job, to negotiate between the crew and the captain, between the scientific party and the captain. And the captain looks after all the crew. So he tells the crew how to do what we've discussed that we should be doing.
So if he's interrupted, there might be a good reason.
Yeah, yeah.
Being in the Antarctica, and right now you're in the Arctic, which I think of as mostly shades of white. Do you think it sharpens or dents or dulls your sense of color? I mean, because there's a lot of color present in your posters.
Yeah, that's a really fantastic question, and it's an interesting question. I haven't got it. There's a book called there's a book about color, which was done in Darwin's time, which Darwin took with him when he was on the Beagle. And this book, he used this guide. It's all pictures, little colors. And they're based on nature and geography and geology. And this set of colors has hardly any blues. So we are thinking about making an extension on that book, because there's a lot of blues in Antarctica. The ice is more blue than white, actually, the marine ice. When you're on the shelf, it's on the continent itself, it's true. There is a lot of tones of light blue. But in Antarctica, especially when the sun is low to the horizon, there's a very, very varied set of blues there. So does it does your sense of color? It's a great question. You can turn this camera around and you can see my funnel. Can you see my funnel out there? Maybe not. No, we'll have to do that in a minute. We'll go outside and you can see it. There's not a backshot. There is a lot of reds and oranges on the ship itself. Animals are colorful, some of them, but the palette is limited, yes. Sunsets are amazing. And of course, as we approach polar day and polar night when we're crossing over, sunsets and sunrises can last for days. And you've got the oranges and the blues and the greens all going like that for ages. So we do have periods of very high color. But it's a good question. Yeah,
someone's going to add to that question here. Have you ever used the traditional wooden slit Inuit snow goggles?
Yes, that's very good. It does work. It does work. And you do squint. You do naturally squint. And we have used those things, and we used them several times. I've been lucky enough to be up here for a near total eclipse in the poles. And we did actually, some of us did use this slit approach to look at the sun there. And I actually rigged my cameras. I put my skiing glasses over my camera lenses, so they would be, they gave it a red filter on this eclipse. But yeah, we do see that, and people do use them, and they do have these at the base. I mean, you can break it. You can the lenses can fall out. There's something to be said for the slit approach.
We have some people just commenting and loving some of the covers that you're showing. Literally Books is another booktuber we sometimes call ourselves on here. And let's see here. Someone's hoping that if you get to those Earthsea covers, they love the some of the original ones, so they're hoping that you can find a way to challenge them.
I haven't looked at the original FC covers yet. I haven't gone to this in depth yet. The FC ones I'll have to think about. If you've got ideas of locations you would like to see, you got to forward them to me, because that's another thing with a book like that. Maybe so that's why I haven't approached it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It could almost be a series on itself, and that's probably why I haven't done that one yet. And also the fact that I haven't read it since I was a kid. I listened to some of the radio adaptations, which I thought were pretty good, but I haven't read that book again since I was young. So I will get to it. I'm more of a sci-fi guy, and I'm surprised how much I enjoy those Ursula Le Guin sci-fi books. I do like fantasy. I like the Fritz Leiber ones very much, and I do like some fantasy. But and Le Guin, I think, is very approachable, and I think that she has a great feel for distance and the otherworldliness of a location and how it's different from the place you've just come from. I think she's really good at that. So I think it would be a good thing to do one of hers. Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you're showing some of the stuff from your illustrations of sea creatures, they thought that was amazing how alien, but while still
Yeah.
being realistic. Yeah. Someone made a joke here about friends and anemones.
Friends and enemies. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. Parasitism, you've got things like aliens, of course, with laying the eggs inside the alien from the movie, laying the egg inside and things like that. I mean, this is always fascinating in the deep sea. But also the living together, the symbiosis is also very interesting. So this is really science fictional ways of living.
So I think we've touched on your book covers and we've touched on your travel posters. I'm not sure if we've been missing something yet that we were talking about earlier. On your process, we've talked about your process in terms of books and covers, and we've talked a little bit about your scientific mission and that you're up there in the Arctic.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you my magnum opus. I'll tell you about my magnum opus. I don't know if we mentioned it last time, but my magnum opus will be Star Maker, the Olaf Stapledon book, and it will be Star Maker drawn every single page of Star Maker, every page. I've taken one sentence from every page of Star Maker, and I'm illustrating that by hand in 3 dimensions. So here, I draw a picture, and say it's a view as an animal in the foreground and the background. I draw it on different layers, in black and white or in color, and then I've got the black and white and color versions. Then each layer, I put all the different distances as different layers in Photoshop. Then I split the color into RGB channels, and I'm moving them out so there's a 3D depth in there. It works really great if you read the book on a Kindle. It works really, really great. And it's the red and blue glasses, the old way of doing 3D. You got to put your blue and red glasses on. So that's what I'm doing. I'm drawing Star Maker by hand in 3D, and of course it'll take me probably the rest of my life to do it. But I've been doing that for a while now, and I'm not doing it in order. I'm taking the pages as I see fit. I've done some from the end section of the book, done some from the start of the book, and some from the middle of the book. And that's what I'm working on whenever I've got my downtime. Will be the illustrated Star Maker. And because I love that book so much because of the alien in that book, because of how strange everything is in that book. And my one will be called the Illustrated Star Maker. And I also will have on the left-hand side, or on the one page, as it goes on the Kindle, one page will be the illustration and the text, but the text will have hyperlinks to scientific papers related to the things brought up in the book or to comments by people involved in the book. So Kevin Hand, who runs the Jupiter or the Icy Moon section of NASA, he's written some bits already for me about this, and he's certain names in various aspects of science I've talked to about this book. So that's what I really like to do in my free time. I mean, I really like to do this idea. Yeah.
This is where being an ebook is a must.
Yeah, in this case, ebook, it works good on the ebook, and it's right. If you print these 3D things, they don't work as well as they do on the computer. This actually works better on the computer. So, of course, it's a 3D picture ideally, but it does work as a 2D one. So it could be just also released as a 2D book. I talked to Galance about it, and they don't think there's enough people love Star Maker. What's wrong with people to make it a going concern?
I wanted to challenge you. I want to read Star Maker, and I'd love to talk to you about it. Even if it's a year or whatever away, but I'd love for you to come on and talk about Star Maker with me, and we'll see if we can get some more interest in it.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. The Stapledon in general is probably my favorite of the sci-fi writers of all. Strugatsky and the Roadside Picnic, I really love, but Star Maker, I find that he was much like Einstein and Newton and Tesla. He was really gifted in his knowledge or understanding of the ways of life. I mean, the things that he thought about, the ways things could be. And if you read Star Maker now, when he talks about how these radios that the people wear, they just want to be plugged into a sensory overload, and they don't give a shit about the way their planet's going, and they basically just watch TV until they die. And we see that the way streaming goes and the way things go and the way that everyone loses faith in their politics and their politicians, you think, yep, That Star Maker, we're at about page 175 now. We're not going to make it to 177. So all these societies that come up and fall down in that book, and you think, well, which one's going to bring us down? And I think it's the TV in the head thing.
So was that in the late 30s or in the 40s that was
written?
Yeah,
30s. That was in the 30s, mid-30s. Yeah, mid-30s.
Oh, mid-30s. Okay. I read Odd John a little bit.
I like that one too a lot. What did you think of Odd John? I mean, Odd John, I think I liked it. I loved it.
It was unusual. It was somewhat of a Superman type story.
It's the first superhero story, I think.
As you know, the caped Superman, that it's the next potential evolution of our society, and how do we understand it, and how does a person who is transcending evolutionary ourselves feel about people who aren't at that level as well. It's in some ways it's beautiful, it's brutal, there's a lot of emotions that go with it.
Yeah, you're right. I think the main character in Odd John himself, is much like the brainy version that he becomes in Flowers for Algernon, when he gets super intelligent and knows everything like that. That's the main character in Odd John. And I think that the other characters in Odd John, this is what gives it its depth for me. It's much like the X-Men, in as much as they're all mutants, right? They're not like pants on over their superhero outfits and flying through the air. They're somehow deformed. And there's one character which must be the inspiration for Xavier, when they're looking for other mutants, and they can somehow has this thought ability, like Professor Xavier. They find this dark creature, this space where it's like a deformed creature that can't walk. It's a young baby, and they look into its mind, and its mind grabs them, and they can hardly escape from it. It just wants to destroy and consume them. I find that absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And the oddness of the superheroes in that, the oddness of the mutations in Odd John, I find different. The one that's can see through time. You can see a mutant because one of the mutants can send his brain forward through time. He sends his brain from 250 years into the past. Odd John picks up this character that died 200 years ago. I find that a fantastic idea. Like, the superheroes in Odd John are so different from other superheroes. I think they're not superheroes, and there's also half-cooked versions of him, which are skinny or very badly physically deformed, and somehow more intelligent, and how they all get together to do what they try to do. I find it's very, very satisfying.
So far in advance of all these comic book things that were referenced. And it's early 30s, I believe, for this one. It's a fascinating read. Sirius, Bart says Sirius was that's the one about I haven't read it, but about a dog, right?
The brain transfer into a dog of the person. Yeah, that's an unusual. They're all unusual. Huh?
Okay.
It's a vivisection book, and that's a strange, but also about intelligence and in the wrong place, basically. It's also an interesting book. Yeah, they're all great, but he's a very strange guy. Yeah.
Should I read Last Men before I
Last
read
Man on Earth
Maker?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Last Man. I think the Last and First Men is okay. I like it. It's about. It's more like the difference is it's mostly like different ways of our society being. Then it's more like the Le Guin books rather than completely different ways of life. For example, in Star Maker, you have intelligent clouds of birds when the birds come together, much like they're moving together like the things in the Invincible. Things like that are in Star Maker's more different ways of life. The Last and First Men is more of an extrapolation of our society into the future. It's very the first years after are very incorrect, but I don't think that's the purpose of it. Personally, I find it more forgettable than the others, although they are all linked, the books. And the Last and First Men is where you see that. He talks slightly about Odd John there in that book. Star Maker, he talks about some of the bits from the Last and First Men. So it is actually a piecework altogether, much like the books of Christopher Priest. We read the Christopher Priest books for years before we realized that they're all the same book in the same universe, maybe. Some are clearly the Dream Archipelago, but it wasn't like that to start with. You didn't realize they were the same universe. I think it took 15 years before you realized that Christopher Priest's books are probably all in the same universe, including Dream of Wessex and the things like that. But yeah. Oh, sorry. Now I'm talking too much. Now I'm talking too much. I apologize.
This is great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's see here. Okay, I'm not sure what part of the conversation this was, but the alien moves was the insulting biology. Aliens needs to eat more as an apex predator.
To get the energy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, most likely. We don't see it eating much. You don't see it. It doesn't seem to be particularly hungry. It seems to be on a kill crazy rampage. We don't see it actually consuming any of the creatures it kills.
That's
see it
right.
taking
And,
them
I mean,
off to
laying eggs
impregnate
and all
them.
those sort of things.
We never see a person that's been ripped asunder like you might have with a tiger or something like that. When they're dead, they're dead. They might just be lying there chopped up. It doesn't seem like the alien really wants to eat it. Yeah.
I didn't think the conversation would go here.
Sorry.
No, not at all. This is great. Well, you know what? Bart is mentioning here. I can't wait to see the view.
Right.
What's the
we
daytime
try and see
temperature
that?
like out there? Let's give this a
Temperature
try.
is 0 degrees. It's 0 degrees outside. But let's take you for a little stroll.
And if
Hopefully you
something
won't
happens here, I'll entertain people until we get you back.
Yeah, okay. So now I'm walking along. This is a bit that goes from one side of the ship to the other side. I'm coming over this side because I saw some ice there a minute ago. Maybe we can see the ice. These are our big heavy doors that we have everywhere. Now we're going outside. So there you can see Antarctica. You can see the ice in the far distance, just on the horizon. I hope you can see it. And this is our ship. And there's the colours I was talking about, our funnel there.
Mhm.
And these are our lifeboats here.
Oh, those are almost like, those are the kind of lifeboats that are completely sealed. And
Yes,
almost
completely
looking like a
sealed,
submarine.
exactly.
Yeah.
Each lifeboat can take 50 people, and we have 2 lifeboats on each side. So there's 100 on this side and 100 on the other side is the capacity for the main lifeboats. So if something happens on one side of the ship, everyone can get in on the other side of the ship. We both, either side, we all fit in. So that's
very, very smart.
And then I'm going up onto what we call the monkey deck, which is above the bridge. Oh, here's some of our devices. This takes mud from the seafloor. It smashes into the seafloor and takes 25 centimeter by 25 centimeter area of mud, and we look at the worms or whatever in there. And up there is the bridge and the crow's nest. Yeah, up there. We're on the other side of the ship now. Oh, there's a scientist. Can I say hello? Here's a scientist.
Hello.
So this guy is one of the guys that studies forams. You study forams. I just showed them a foraminifera on the leg of the crab.
That's right. Hello.
Yeah.
This is Frank. He's one of our guest scientists. So there's maybe 40 of us are from our institute, and you're one of our guests from a different institute, right? And he's out here playing guitar off shift.
Because this is warm. This is actually
the
hair is coming out from here, so my hands are warm.
It also smells of petrol. We're by the engine, the engine outgassing.
I really enjoy Colostern to the fullest, you know.
Yeah.
My legs, I enjoy it too.
Is the helicopter out there? Maybe there's a helicopter. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Frank. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're going to check and see if you can see the helicopters. It works. You're still there? You're still there?
Oh, I hear you. Oh, there you are.
Oh. Let's just see if we can see the helicopter quickly. Oh, maybe it's too far.
Remember, once again, we're
there's our helicopter deck.
And, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's the helicopter pad.
It must be inside for the night. Sleeping for the night. Sleeping, I'm afraid.
It goes inside the ship.
Yeah, we have 2 helicopters on board.
Uh-huh.
So in case we have to rescue the other one or we have to do something else, we have 2 helicopters on board. We use them for science, where the ice is. We also fly to take drillings of the ice cores and things like that. So whenever we can, the helicopter's in the air. If we have several speedboats like that one, which we can take out to ice flows to do work directly. Yeah.
So you get onto ice flows, like big ice flows themselves.
Yes. Yeah. I'll show you something interesting. I'm holding my 5,000 euro computer over the edge of the ship now. But can you see that red and white line there?
Yes. Here,
so
you know what? I got to make you bigger. I can't believe I didn't do that already.
That red or white line there is so we can tell on the bridge. There's the bridge there above, and the life. life jacket there. That line, when we smash the ice, we can see how thick the ice is, because that's each red and white marker is 50 centimeters long. So we can you can see how thick the ice is.
Okay. So
It's
how
when it's
close
from a-
are you exactly to, or as close as you can tell us, to the North Pole from where you are?
We're at 79 degrees north now. So it's
Okay.
we're exactly at 79 degrees north. 79 degrees north is the place that we go all the way across measuring. We go all the way across at 79 north. So
And
yeah.
And so the North Pole is 90, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah. I guess I'm not sure how many miles we're away from it.
That doesn't matter. The latitude or the longitude, sorry, latitude there tells us
Yeah.
the story.
Yeah. And so that's that. Let's have a quick look and see if we can see anything else.
Sure.
Um,
And when you were down at Antarctica, when you were on the boat down there, what was the latitude down there?
we were at 66, which is about as far south as you can get, because all below that is actually land. We have,
Right.
you know, that's where the elder things live. That's where we have the mountains of madness. There's no space for any ice there. You see this here?
Yes.
This is signed by Alexander Gerst, which is a German astronaut. He worked on this ship. So he's a geologist. To my friends and colleagues, the intrepid scientists and crew of Polarstern, never stop exploring. It will lead you to places you haven't even imagined in your dreams. So he gave us that. He's very famous in Germany. He's an active astronaut. Yeah. Come on up. Do you want to say hello? I don't know. It's the world. I've got the world on here. This is a Canadian science fiction expert. This is an extremely tattooed lady who is one of our scientists.
Hello.
She works with the guy you've just met. She works. It's the helicopter pilot. Say hi, handsome helicopter pilot.
Hello.
Hi.
So your first time on the ship, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's on the first time on the ship, and she is counting these forearms we talked about briefly. And what else are you doing?
Just the forearms.
Yeah. Do you
And
like it? Is it fun here?
It is, well, I mean, it's so fun. It's the best. I can't wait to come back. And yeah, we're counting the forearms, but we're also going to do genetics and metabolomics later. So yeah, but on the ship, just looking at them, counting them. I'm also drawing them in my free time.
Oh, she can draw. So she's going to be competition for my cover design. Do you draw? Have you got a forearm on you? Not yet. Not yet. She's got
incoming.
spiders and all sorts.
Yeah,
So,
my
but like.
favorite. Incoming. Yeah. Even a sea spider on my phone.
Oh,
there
yeah.
you go. Yeah.
All right.
See, they're very, very dedicated, some of the biologists. I haven't got any tattooed on me yet anyway, but yeah. Thanks a lot.
Glad to come. Bye-bye.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, so I don't know who we're going to meet next. I'm going to show you probably the most 19 location in the world. So the ship was sailed in 1982. So it's a
Well, I got to
really
make you
old
larger
ice
again
maker.
here. Yeah.
Okay. So
There we
now,
go.
now we are in. Is it okay if I show you a little bit? So we are in the Blue Saloon, which is, we have a table like you might have as King Arthur here. And only one of our knights is here. This is an expert on deep. So he's the expert on the place I showed you on the map, the Molloy Deep. We're collecting his stuff these days. We have this bar here where we entertain for dignitaries. Maybe when we go to a port, we host them here. So we have champagne receptions and things here with fancy people when we get to port sometimes. And here we have the new blue bricks model of Polarstern, which they're building, which is
Blue
like Lego.
Like that's like Lego, right? Blue bricks.
Yeah, it's like Lego. Yeah, it's an actual copy of our ship being built on our ship by the people on the ship. So yeah.
So that's from Germany, I'm guessing, because
I think it's from I think it's from Germany. Yes, German company. And you see this weird thing here.
Mm-hmm.
This is an actual working fireplace, and this is our emergency heat system. So, say we do get stuck for some reason in the Antarctic or the Arctic in the ice. This fireplace keeps this room and the room below, which is our big meeting room, warm, and we can all come and crash in here if everything else goes to pot. So it's the backup heating supply. we've got the each state of Germany is represented on here. And they do test it to make sure it still works. And then we burn all the boxes and we burn all of the vintage science that we have over here, which is all of the, before we had the internet, we had to come here and use the library to find all the information, but it's not so much in use anymore. And if
Boy,
the
it sounds like
librarian is...
You could
Sorry?
write a novel here that could be a survival novel.
Yeah, right.
Stuck in the ice,
yeah.
no power, burning
No.
books for heat.
Yeah, or maybe burning this ancient organ from the. So the ship is going to be replaced soon. We're nearly at the end of the lifespan. There's a new ship coming, Polarstern 2.
Mhm.
But that's So that's most of the ship that I can take you to. I think so. I mean, there's
So this was the same
labs.
ship that you were talking to me in Antarctica
Yes.
before.
Yes,
Because I remember
yeah,
the
this
name
is-
that you'd said of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Polarstern. It's the big German icebreaker. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's our main ship, really. I mean, we could try and have a look at the labs. Do people want to look at the lab, do you think?
I don't care if they do. I do.
Okay, we're going to go downstairs and see if we can see if someone's in one of the labs. The cases are very steep, so you've got to make sure you hold on to it. At the moment, we've got no bad seas, but sometimes we have bad seas.
Someone asked if the model that you were showing me came with miniature scientists and ship crew.
Not miniature science, but the scientists would be too small for the scale. But it's got 2 helicopters, but they're the wrong helicopters. They're our old helicopters. We've got newer helicopters. But okay, we're going to try one of the labs. I know it's got some real sciencey looking stuff inside it, so let's try and look at that one. Not this one, next door. Oopsie.
People are saying it's amazing history in this ship. Seeing it because you're saying this was, I think you said about 47 years old.
Yeah, 42 years, 82 it's
42?
from.
Okay.
Yeah, so look at this here. Look at these machines here.
Oh.
Yeah, you can tell it's science because it's bubbling and it's doing
Test
things.
tubes.
Yeah, test tubes. That's proper science, that is.
Yeah.
We have our fume hoods, of course, to do experiments which aren't nice.
Yeah.
We do things like measure oxygen with this one, how the oxygen is in different waters. Yeah.
Do you have a still in there too?
We don't need one. We have a bar on board, and we have a bar. We have a pub on board that's open several times a week.
Okay.
So, if the scientists will run it, we have the pub.
Oh, well stocked, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then we have a storage room here. It's so big. We even have JCBs inside it. We even have diggers inside it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show you my equipment. I'll show you my equipment.
Sure.
It's out on the deck.
One person says here, number one identifier of science is the bubbling that goes on.
Yes, definitely. We're going to go outside.
Now, your
This thing
equipment,
here is a water sampler. This takes water from different depths. You program it to take it from different depths in the water, and you can tell the chemistry or whatever you want from that.
Now, remind us, for the people who might even be joining us partway through, your specialty, what is it that we're looking at here? What do you do?
I'm a deep
Besides
sea
take
ecologist.
care of all the scientists.
Deep sea scientist. I use this camera. This is a camera. It's massive, but it's in here. This is my camera here. It's 6,000 meter rated. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, help design it. I designed some of these things. The water samplers we designed together, me and my colleague. And we have a side scan sonar system for mapping the seafloor at the back here. Various cruise stickers. But this is my main device. So I lower this by a big crane.
Right to the ocean
At the moment,
floor.
the crane's lowering something else. The crane is doing something else at the moment. And then we lower this and photograph the seafloor.
Yeah. Last time when we did the Antarctica one, we had a little bit of short burst of movie that you had too of some of the creatures down at the bottom there too.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if I can do that. Maybe I'll do that. We'll go back upstairs and I'll see if
Well, you know what? I'll just make sure there's a link to the previous one that we did too.
Yeah. Do that. Yeah. So we film such great creatures. It's all open access. All of the data is open access, free to the public. That camera I showed you cost €2 million to build in the end. And one of the things to fund it was us saying that the data we collect is open for everybody to use. So my job is to put it onto a repository so anyone can use it for science. I make it onto the repository within 6 months, and it's open access for people to publish within 2 years, which is, I think it's really good. So it's not, lost. My job is, I'm really also the curator guy, so I have to make sure it goes to archive. Yeah.
Okay.
We're going back up the stairs, back to that same place again.
Some people are saying the open access is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. It's all open access. Yeah.
And so was that what we saw there? I think you have something called the Ocean Floor Observation System.
Yeah,
OFOBS.
that was the OFOBS. Yeah. Oh, I can hear my alarm going off over there for something.
Oh.
Say hi. Did you get your animals?
What?
Did you get all the animals you needed?
I don't know yet.
You don't know yet.
Yes, but it looks good.
So she's collecting. What are they called? These are the people who like science fiction books. What are you collecting?
Copepods.
Copepods. And what's a copepod?
It's a zooplankton.
What's a zooplankton?
It's an animal.
Teeny little animal.
That a
And
lot
she
of
wants a
animals feed off it.
Yeah, exactly. And she wants a particular species of this animal, right?
In a specific stage.
And how many do you want? 72?
Yes.
She wants exactly 72 of these bloody animals. And we have to keep putting the nets in until she gets her 72 animals, yeah? Count them so I know if I have to do it again. She's about to do that. Oh, my alarm is going off. So let me just turn that off. So, yeah, so there you go. You had a tour of my ship.
That was awesome.
I better go, my dears, because I have to put my camera in the water vaguely soon.
Yep.
And I think that means I'll have to leave, unfortunately. But it's been a fantastic chat.
Oh.
I really enjoyed this.
Thank you so much for joining us again and covering pole to pole what's going on in science and science fiction and illustration.
Really fun.
Oh, so much fun.
Anything else? Any last questions from the audience before I go? Or have we got enough, you guys?
I don't think I see any questions here from our tour here.
Cool.
We live in amazing times. The doctor's on a ship in the Arctic, beaming out to all of us at our various places. Freaking cool. One person.
It's amazing.
Said.
I'm still
And
amazed by it. Really,
this is
really
science fiction right here, really,
Yeah,
in
really
terms of what we
amazing.
can do. Yeah.
Okay, my beauties, I'm going to have to go.
All right.
Thanks a lot for
Thank
having
you
me on
so
your
much.
nice show again.
Yeah.
Richard, thank you very much for that real inspiring stuff, finding out about all the different versions of these books. It's terrific. I really appreciate it. I really like it. I mean, it's a great resource you've got there. And, you know, championing the old science fiction is something I really love. I really get behind. So yeah,
I think we're
sharing
both,
this pleasure.
we love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wave goodbye to everybody here. Thank you again.
Thanks a lot, guys.